I've been working with AG for almost a couple of years now on sort of macro looks at food policy and nutrition and all the things that people are now very interested in. And when I was asked to participate and react to this, my wife and I, who's my partner with our son and daughter and their families in our family ranch, we both said, boy, this is good. This is a good thing. This is an overview that really hits a lot of the high points. And I think what I really want to talk about is how important it is to understand that on one level, what I call this renaissance going on all over the country, there are things happening on the ground that are magical. And one of the reasons I'm here is I live in a valley that is like that. You know, we're the largest river restoration in the United States, the largest trout passage project with Trout Unlimited in the United States. And it's because we have leadership and we have a population of people who are able to adapt. I wrote down accelerate adaptation. That's going to be the future. And in the last 2 years, we had the wettest and the driest years back to back at the headwaters of the Colorado River, 7,000 feet. And the challenges, you know, especially with my kids who are really bought into what we're trying to do are significant. And we just have seen things we've never seen before. But how do we adapt to them, and how do we you know, take advantage of opportunities is the key. And, you know, I'll have to tell you that part of what I've seen in some hearings I've attended with AG around the West, and I live in a state, Wyoming, and right on the border, Colorado and Wyoming. When you look at the western states that are close to or more than half federal land and the responsibilities of working with federal agencies. Our family works with the Forest Service, BLM, state lands in 2 states, Fish and Wildlife Service. It's becoming more difficult. There's no doubt about it, and more top-down rather than bottom-up, and the excitement is bottom-up. The reality is people are doing things on the ground and being held back by this sort of archaic federal process that really isn't working for people that are excited about a future. And I'm with you. I have, you know, my own kids there that is so exciting. I'll tell you a couple quick stories, but I saw a statistic the other day, only 1% of the established farms and ranches in America are owned by people under 35. Those are the troubling statistics that are out there. And the average age of farmers is me. That's not good. That's not good. So how do we, you know, reinvigorate? I think on the crop side, some pricing has really got some young people excited. On the livestock side, not so much. And what you know, I had the opportunity more than a decade ago to work with a bunch of sheep producers, and we, you know, we're watching our business disappear, and so we created a new model. 125 ranchers in 10 western states bought the largest lamb and veal company in New York. And now we're more vertically integrated than we were, and it's done a lot of good for our industry. But I have to tell you, $7 corn doesn't work. And so when you look at a federal policy, you know, that you know, when you look at a federal policy that essentially not only advocated but accelerated the process of almost pitting some parts against others, it wasn't long-term thinking. And so, you know, we have to figure out how to have if we're going to be expected to have 70% more food in the next whatever decades, it's going to be because we've overcome the fact that we're losing farmers and ranchers, we're losing land, and we're losing water. I'm president of a group that represents irrigators in 17 western states, and I can tell you every scenario in every western state is chilling in terms of the transfer of water from agriculture to urban growth, to energy, to environmental needs, to regulatory needs. We had in California a bunch of our growers, some of the most productive people in the country, you know, watched 800,000 acre-feet of water go into the San Francisco Bridge this year because of some endangered species issues that are questionable at best. And so, you know, I think when you read this document and you see this vision, and there really is a lot of vision there about how we, you know, take this incredible energy that's out there. And you know, this is the 150th anniversary of Lincoln in the middle of the Civil War establishing the Homestead Act. and released this incredible energy of people that went to the West and settled. And, you know, I call it the ultimate social Darwinism, because it was impossible to make 160 acres work in west of the 100th meridian. But the people that are left and made that work and now have, you know, infrastructure, which is what our family has done. It's a remarkable story, but it's a story that could have an end if we don't have the vision. And this is a document that, to me, you know, sort of, you know, talks about that vision in a very real way. And I think, you know, if there's anything we need to learn from it, is that how do you take the intellectual into the tangible? That's what I read in this. How do you take these good ideas and turn them into real things on the ground? And I happen to live in this watershed. It's a Little Snake River. There's other examples all over the country going on right now of people looking at challenges of water quality or water quantity or production or their communities. And I heard recently, you know, I work on a migratory bird group called IWJV, Intermountain Joint Venture, that works on western migratory bird issues. And there was a meeting here in DC where the sort of the idea was that we are going to really focus on community-based conservation models as the future. I hope that that's the case, because that's where it's going to happen. It's going to happen right on the ground with communities. And you know, I recently, day before yesterday, my son, when he was just studying this book on artificial insemination genetics for cattle. And I mean, it was like a biblical experience. And he's going, gosh, Dad, I don't know what's there than this. But when he came from college just a few years ago, we didn't do that. I couldn't figure out how we could do it, but technology has made it much more user-friendly. With our sheep operation, my daughter has figured out how to use the kind of techniques used usually in small flock into a range agriculture deal on preg checking and integrating it into our process. And you watch these young people, and that's what you talked about. I mean, the enthusiasm is there and the ideas, and I think of myself as progressive, but when they hit the ground running, boy, I'm trying to catch up. And so what we have to understand, and I think that's what we're talking about here, is how do you empower that enthusiasm like Lincoln did in a way that you know, instead of being at a stopping point, because we have run out of, there's no more room to go. I mean, we've hit the coast, we've hit the borders, we've used the water to the point where now there's not enough for everybody. But how do we empower ourselves to go into the next part? And what I would tell you from my own experience, there's models everywhere. And now we take that empowerment and you transfer, you know, we transfer those genius people who have figured out how to do these on-the-ground models and then teach other people to do that. So.